Welcome everybody to another voting video in the Mandela Effect voting video series. This will be number 84, and we'll have a link down below to the first 83 voting videos. Some of the likes or thumb ups, meaning they agree with the Mandela Effect, are in the thousands now on some of the videos, so you can check those out. Today we're going to be covering Mr. Rogers, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I've known about this since March of this year, but I wanted to get it into the voting video series and see what we get. So let's start off with this here. Most people remember A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. So let's see what we got.
So I went there.
And you've never left 30 years.
I wonder how many people here grew up with the neighborhood.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people grew up with The Neighborhood, Mr. Rogers. So we have a few parodies here that remember it the way I do. Thumb this up. It's always been The Neighborhood for you. And if it's always been This Neighborhood, if he always refers to the neighborhood as this neighborhood being his neighborhood, where you're a little kid watching and he doesn't include you in the neighborhood, like I felt included. If he separates you away from his neighborhood, calling it this neighborhood, and you're over there in yours, then thumb the video down.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
That's right, Eddie. Moving along.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
Yep, it sure is. Now here's Kenny Rogers. He puts a tiny little different spin on it, but he's not in his own neighborhood. He's in the neighborhood.
I got a great big house in the neighborhood. Got a new album that sells real good.
He's got a great big house in the neighborhood. Not in that neighborhood. In the neighborhood. So we got Mr. Rogers dies at age 74. Mr. Rogers composed his own songs for the show, of which he had 1,000 episodes, I believe. Many people heard this jingle by Mr. Rogers in their lifetimes. Many, many people. So Mr. Rogers composed his own songs for the show and began each episode in a set made to look like a comfortable living room, singing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor?" as he put on his famous cardigan sweater and sneakers.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day to be neighborly.
All right.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Okay. So we have this congressional record here, volume 149 from 2003. Mr. Speaker, I join with the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Doyle, and all Pennsylvanians and all people of goodwill throughout America as we pay tribute honoring the legacy of Fred Rogers and his dedication to creating a more compassionate, kind, loving world for children and adults. I quote, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?" While singing this simple refrain, Mr. McFeely Rogers would change out of his sport coat and into his zip-up cardigan, slip off his dress shoes and slip on a pair of blue sneakers and become Mr. Rogers of the Mr. Rogers neighborhood. End quote. Here we have a 2001 newspaper. Oh, this is really good here. I love it when I find double Mandela effects in the same article. I was one of those. This is written, well, whoever wrote the article, a contributor for the Kentucky New Era here, he says, "I was one of those kids that soaked up Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Electric Company, Sesame Street, Great Space Coaster, and Captain Kangaroo. I was a kid who lost a little bit of himself when Charles Schultz, SCHULTZ, like I remember it, retired his Peanuts comic strip, and when he eventually died. This is how it was spelled. This is how it was. That's what people aren't experiencing the phenomenon known as the Mandela effect. They don't know how it feels to see Charles Schultz the way I remember it spelled. And then over here, I can remember him singing, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood." In the neighborhood. That's what he sang. I was conscious in a reality where that was being sung. The neighborhood, Charles Schultz. It's amazing how, and I understand how people who don't have these memories, how they must feel. They just think, oh, you guys just can't remember anything. I mean, come on. We're kind of beyond that by now. Voting video number 84. Just go see what people are saying. They're not all misremembering the same stuff. That's so ridiculous, absurd.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day for a neighbor. Could you be mine? Could you be mine?
You know, I got to tell you, it's hard to find a parody where they said it the way that he said it on 1,000 episodes. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. I mean, that's what he always said in this reality, in this universe, in this timeline. I don't know, whatever you want to say. I had a hard time. I don't even think I came across one. The parodies, the famous parodies, all said it the way I remember it my entire life.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Sometimes things don't go right in the neighborhood.
Yeah, sometimes things don't go right in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. What do we got here?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor.
And so until she died, those zipper sweaters that I wear on the neighborhood were all made by my mother. We would open up the boxes at Christmas and...
All right, the sweaters he wore on the neighborhood. I know that it wouldn't be proper for him to say the sweaters that we wore on this neighborhood, but I just like hearing Mr. Rogers, Fred say the neighborhood, because that's what I remember him always saying. Now I'm going to throw this on here, and well, actually, let me play you this here, the actual song of what he sang, and then I'll end with this. I thought this was fitting here. So we'll end with that, but let's just see what it always was in this reality. And if this is what it always was for you, go ahead and thumb down the video.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
Oh man, that sounds so wrong. So I'll just leave you with this here, and go create the reality that you want, everyone. There'll be a lot more videos to come, and we'll close with this here.
Yes, how do you do, Miss Rivers?
Pleasure.
How do you do, everyone? Very pleased to see you. Do you know that little ditty, rowing your boat down the stream? Do you know that?
I know that very well.
Oh, would you sing it for me, please? All of you. Would you, please?
Will you sing it?
Row.
Jacqueline? Row gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Very good. Now, the way we learned that at the Kingley School was propel, propel, propel your craft gently down liquid solution. Ecstatically, 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 existence is but an illusion. Thank you very much.